how are you guys? My name is Maxim Drygin. I'm Director of VR Experiences at Grainger VR, Sydney, Australia. We're here together with Hugh Ho, been testing 3 cameras since the 360 and S1 and S1Pro, which is the camera that I'm standing next to. Talking about this particular camera by Z CAM, the pros of this camera overall are pretty similar to S1, which are even layout with 4 lenses that gives you vertical sims and nadir and zenith with all the 4 cameras blending in there, which gives you enough. The vertical sims, they help you to deal with talent or objects crossing the seams, or seams not crossing the body of the talent or the objects of your shooting. Like it happens with some GoPro-based rigs that I personally had experience in the past. The main advantage of this camera, Z CAM S1Pro, over S1, are the lenses. So coming from digital photography and then digital video, I learned that the lenses are the eyes of the camera. So whatever sensor you have, if you put an underperforming lens, you're pretty much blind. So that's the main advantage of this camera. You have proper glass that gives you the best clarity, the best lowest chromatic aberrations, lowest diffraction, and you're also able to control the aperture of the iris, which is manually achieved by clicking from 2.8, like here. 2.8 up to 4, 5.6, 8 and 11, f11 on each camera individually. So this gives you the ability to control depth of field, although it's not very relevant for the fisheye, which are by nature of the design are prone to having a very deep field of view of centimeters to infinity. However, it helps you to combat chromatic aberrations and achieve optimal resolution with center and border resolution climbing all the way up to the optimal point around 5.6. From my own experience, f5.6 is a sweet spot of those lenses. Those lenses are very wide, again wider than S1. S1 is 190 degrees field of view. These ones are 220. In one case of a test, we intentionally switched off one of the cameras and we rolled only the 3 of them. And then in post, we were excited to learn that we were able to stitch the missing shot with just an overlap of these 2 others, which is beyond exciting for any production crew rep that out in the field and have a corrupt card case. So you would know that you're still able to stitch it. Yes, you have some things to sacrifice, but you have the shot. Same things, same body design as S1. You have 4 card slots, A, B, C, D. You have passive heat dissipation, no fan noise, like in some other cameras. It gets pretty hot, up to 70 degrees Celsius. However, I have not had an overheating case, and I've only heard of one case where the person shot exterior closer to a Death Valley, and the temperature during the shoot lasted for 3 hours, and the temperature of the camera exceeded hundreds of Fahrenheit, and it basically camera switched off. But again, after 3 hours of shoot, you're pretty happy you have a shot. The camera layout, you can pretty much Google and check out the Z CAM website on what's coming. You got Ethernet port 4 modem for the router configuration, where you can actually here have the app for an iPad to control the camera from the app. You can control each of the eyes individually. You can control white balance and ISO. And white balance is not only the blue amber scale, but also the tint. However, most of the cases where we shot with this camera were almost auto exposure, auto white balance, with only marginal EV compensation, because you can still do these steps, -1, -2, -1, -3, plus up, for ranging from -3 to +3. And that's pretty much talking about the cons. Well, if you compare it to an entry-level S1, which is $2.5 grand, this one is $8.5. However, if you do this for a living, $8.5 give you better overlap, clearer footage, resolution is higher, better chromatic aberrations. The sensor is micro four thirds. It's a better low light, and overall you get the look that is further away from some of the looks of HD cams, as some of the people of our days, nowadays, the people comment that coming into 360 for them feels like going backwards to the quality of the image. If they're accustomed to Reds, Aries, Alexas, when they do a GoPro based 360 rig, they actually suffer seeing the quality of the footage in front of their screen. So this camera is one step up from a GoPro based rig. Vertical seams, hassle-free color picture that I've already commented on S1, which is similar to what I would call a Canon 5D of 360. And the ability to just press the record button, turn the camera on with one button and press the record, and the camera would roll straight away, is amazing. I'm not, by the way, affiliated with Z CAM or any other cameras. We're a production studio based in Sydney. We are good customers of Z CAM, and they've done a brilliant job, honestly, with a camera. That's why I'm proud to be a rep, like praising them for what they do, because they ease up my stitching job every day. And on that happy note, I would probably finish with that little review. That's probably all.
Question, Max?
Oh, sure.
So, can this camera take still picture?
Oh, yes. However, you have to do a frame grab. So I know that in 2 weeks' time, and today is the 3rd of July, they are coming up with a new release of their firmware, which will include certain features. Not will include, but it might include certain features that include time-lapse, stills mode, and God knows what again. But I've heard that there were lots of customers asking for it. I've used S1 as a still photo, as a frame grab. I was very happy with it on an occasion. And again, you got to know what you use the camera for. It's like tools. It's like horses for courses, they say. If you have to deliver something tomorrow, the delivery is just one still that is embedded into your website for just one-off promo activity that is going to cease in a week's time. This is the right camera for that. If you want a 16K pano with lots of depth of field, very clear, and in low light, you should go DSLR, not all shoot, which is another topic that I'm happy to cover one day, but it's beyond our remit for today. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, yes, you can do a frame grab of video, or you can just stop and hope that it's just one frame.
What is the frame rate of this camera? So you can shoot 30 frames per second. I know that. Can you go to 60 frames?
So yes, Z CAM S1Pro intentionally, the Z cameras, they kept it at maximum 30p, so it doesn't shoot 60p. S1 shoots 25p, 30p, and 60p, 50p and 60p respectively.
In what resolution? Is it 4K?
So 6K is 25 and 30p, 4K is 50 and 60. This one gives you 6K in 25 and 30, but you don't get 60.
Can this camera also do stereoscopic, like 3D filming?
This is a very interesting question, because I've heard of the rumors that some people were using the overlap, because there's such a huge overlap and the positioning of the lenses is pretty close to the retinal distance. I'm not really pro with the stereography, don't shoot me for that, but I've heard that people were able to use left side of one camera and the left side of another for one stereo pair, and the right of the two lenses respectively for the other, to actually produce the right left parallax that is close to stereo. I've heard of Jason and Kinson and Eric and Bank and the rest of the team working on that stereo. I've seen an example of one of the shots stitched. I know that it's a work in progress. So technically speaking, you can shoot stereo, but it's more, there's a bit more voodoo happening there now than with a dedicated V1 Pro that is a part of the range that is, I think it's like 30 or 35,000 US dollars, that has dedicated stereo pairs. So don't expect miracles from that package, because again, 8.5 grand in a professional field is nothing. It's like, it's just part of a budget, and not a big part of a shooting budget sometimes. So 8.5 would give you a decent turnaround, like ROI, like return on investment value. But if you want stereo, you got to look elsewhere. Professional stereo, you got to look elsewhere.
Nice. How about shooting moving footage? Like, does camera have an in-camera stabilization? How do you stabilize your footage?
So this camera doesn't have in-camera stabilization, nor we honestly ever thought or sought to have it, because I'm coming from a video production background. You have support systems in place, gimbals. We shot with S1 with a drone that had an engineering sample of a gimbal by DJI, developed specifically for S1. You can link that footage in the comments if you like. And then usually for the moving shots, we use a remote control tool, or we just roll with it. And if Hugh is kind enough to show you what it looks like as a shot, we'll give it a really quick test, like a hoverboard situation when you have an operator rolling with a pole with a camera on top of it, and then you do some Mocha VR voodoo, just patching the nadir, and that's what it is. With stabilization, it's not a biggie as long as you don't have a rolling shutter jello. So if you don't induce sudden rapid movement, or you don't shoot something that is too fast moving, you're able to stabilize it with either our dearest metal Skybox Studio plugins, or with Mocha VR, or with Synthesize, or with other plugins that I've heard of, but we have personally never used in the proper workflow. So never needed a dedicated stabilization in camera. Would love to have it if it works, because workflow is priority. If you don't have reliable, repeatable sequence of steps to achieve a particular profit, you're screwed. You can have the fanciest camera in the world that is claimed to be the best specs, etc. But if it fails 3 times with a particular card out in the field, you don't want to take it onto the battlefields, especially with a client. Imagine that situation with the Insta360.
Yeah.
If we had a client next to us, what kind of image that would portray to us? Like, do we know our gear? It's a separate story.
No,
if you want to link it.
No, it's
Basic.
good feedback, yeah.
So basically, we had Insta360 failed on us 3 times today with the recommended card,
Yeah.
SanDisk Extreme, which is a class 3 card, so you can't almost like fail it. My assumption is that we might have skipped the formatting stage where you have to format it in camera to actually achieve the result. But again, these cameras, we just slot the cameras in they're rolled, and we got the footage, and that's it. And that's how it has to happen. I know for most of the 360 rigs, because of the relative new, it's all new to us, the whole industry. Lots of people are still going, just crossing that shaky ground, so to say, of no reliable solutions around. You're still on set every now and then. You experience, oh, sorry, we've got to reboot the camera. This is not going well, or we have new set. We have to replace the cart, or let's just redo the take because the sharpness situation wasn't going well because you don't have a proper preview. Like hardly any camera these days have a proper preview because you don't see the full 8K or 16K out of any rig. You have some Teradek Sphere fed with 1080 max or like 4K, but again, real-time stitched, no. So it's all give and take. You sacrifice for the convenience of something, but you don't get that convenience of the normal flat Alexa. You get the viewfinder, you get a huge screen that will feed you your SDI 3G easy. I guess it's just us enjoying the moment of building this 360 industry and pioneering to a certain extent towards the rigs that work. And if we have a client willing to pay for it, that's even better. So Z CAMs are the tools for that.
Great. Can you just tell the audience again who you are? Where can I find your work? So
my name is Maxim Drygin. I'm a director of VR experiences at Grainger VR, a Sydney-based, Northern Beaches-based production studio. We've been recipients of multiple awards, including Tropfest twice, and you can find us at GraingerVR.com. And Grainger being GRAINER VR.com.